and stoic man. Viviane, female gender entity who appreciates great armor, lover of the powerful magician Merlin, protector of the extraordinary objects, dresses in a white dress and tiara, brown-eyed and black-haired, grudging, affectionate, and lonely. King Arthur, King of the Camelot, founder of the Round Table and friend of the powerful Merlin, sick and weakened because of so many battles for the sake of his kingdom, black hair, brown eyes, fair skin and strong body, powerful, brave, wise, patient, kind, and understanding. Marcus, ex-member of the Round Table, who is full of greed, tries to take the throne and claim it as his own during King Arthur's illness. He owned several lands throughout the kingdom, black hair, brown eyes, arrogant and proud.
Viviane! Answer my call!
I told you, Merlin, not to come in your way!
The lady of the lake emerged from the water with an annoyed expression.
I don't have time for meaningless discussion. In 10 days, when the sun goes down, I will come to bring you the object that no one must find.
Merlin was stressed because his king was ill and his counsel did not let him reason.
Don't you dare to touch me, Merlin, and do not command me or try to approach me! I will hide whatever you bring me, but you and I are no longer anything!
Merlin placed his curious brown says,
As you wish, Lady of the Lake. However, could you please tell me why do you hate me so much?
Hearing these words, the lady of the lake yielded eagerly and turned her back to the wizard says,
If you don't know, you don't deserve an answer, Merlin!
Merlin, with an expression of relief, leaves the place while he hears cries behind him. The people close to the king were exiled, observing his condition. When Merlin and Viviane entered, all talking with low voices, so as not to disturb the quiet of Arthur, who hearing the door opened his distant counsel.
Merlin, are you there? Come closer.
Yes, my king.
Viviane approaches Merlin. Everyone looks her up and down. She was wearing a white dress that highlighted her brown eyes, her hair gathered attractive and scent that stunned everyone in the room.
My friend, have you spoken to her?
Yes, my king. I have spoken to her, and in 10 days, everything will be ready.
I am glad. My kingdom must be saved. It deserves to be saved.
Everyone was moved. The king, in such a bad state of health, only thinking of his people.
Oh, my king, sorry to disturb you now, but Sir Marcus worries me!
They all looked at each other. They knew what Viviane was referring to. Sir Marcus was taking advantage of the king's illness to try to take the throne.
Just think about it! My king, let me take care of Sir Marcus myself. You have nothing to worry about.
Merlin, my friend, my counselor, my benefactor, how glad to hear your voice. And I am pleased to know that you take care of this matter. Now that I'm in such a deplorable state, however, I must ask for forgiveness for being burden to the people.
Viviane burst into tears and approaching the says,
Oh, my king! So kind and so ill-treated! We will make sure, my king, that Sir Magus the traitor pays for this hate and hidence!
in the forest, that leads to the region of the lake.
Ready, soldiers! It will be a short battle, but it will determine the future of Camelot!
The soldiers shouted for the king, ready to give their lives for the kingdom and for the king. Viviane approaches Merlin to whisper to him.
Don't forget our deal, wizard!
And you, don't forget it.
In the distance, we see the traitor leading his troop who see Merlin quick his face. When he was close enough and both of us were in front of each other, he says,
So, Madigan Arthur must be in terrible state with any useless advice to his God.
But your word, Marcus, I may be, but I still have the favor of the goddess!
the enemy soldiers retreated, for that meant that Merlin, the powerful magician Merlin, was still use his magic.
Wake up! If what he says were true, we wouldn't be talking right now!
Merlin raises his cane, the soldiers in favor of the king began their attack.
My soldiers are there!
All close to the chest. Merlin's martial artist was surprised, his overflow was open, his hand was flashing, his skin was hot as the sword.
Surrender, Marcus! It's in your name! Oh no, you're so sorry! You are the very universe! By this time your blasting will begin!
Merlin steps in, thinking of his bite and sacrifice. Suddenly, he loses Marcus and leaves the battlefield.
Merlin, where are you going?
I think this is dead. I must protect him!
Viviane continues to fight with her soldiers. At the castle, the furniture and objects were broken. When approaching the king's chamber, however,
My king!
because the door was open, Merlin enters the king's room and rapidly. There was a spy who had protected, and Merlin acted wanted the spy wizard. Merlin was silent. However, he gathered his strength and confronted the spy. There were blows of truth, but the wizard managed to push away the enemy of his king who was weakened.
They dare to get the life of their own king! Damn them! Infamous!
Merlin sees the intention of his enemy who fled to step the king, but instead, there is this instinct of running himself against him. The king wakes up and with his scream calls the name of his friend and advises him. The spy manages to escape from the king's chamber. A royal eagle strong Camelot and Viviane appears in the room.
Viviane, I thought you were with Marcus.
I was, but I felt your pain and I know what had happened. The goddess gave me one last prayer for Merlin.
Don't turn him, Merlin. My dear Merlin, I will do my best to save you.
The magician brings his hand to his king's shoulders and says,
My king, I'm only an old wizard. You must protect your kingdom. You must get better and work everything you have fought for so many decades. Be my king. Take this sense of nature. It will cure you in my king.
Merlin gives a glance to his king. a glance that is only filled at the moment of death and that the goddess of ancient heroes will find.
The object will be safe, my king. They will die and Camelot will be out of danger. Long live! Long live, my king! Long live the king! Long live the king!
The voice of the kingdom is heard in the background, and King Arthur looks at his friend.
Farewell, my friend. Farewell, my consort. I will see you after death to reign the paradise.
Of the entrance, the giant Merlin and Viviane. Viviane breaks into tears at the sight of Merlin and Mustofa.
This is very joy and this is very relief for me. Yes, Merlin, I will always believe in you.
Who is Merlin and drags him into the water. And glad he turns the same way.
Our home!